Welcome to Between the Seams with Marty and Mack, Week 14, brought to you by the Triple Play Fantasy Network. We're moving right along here. We're going to be covering July 5th through July 11th here for the Week 14. Before we hop into it, Mack, you're here with me as always. How are you doing?
It's great. Doing pretty wonderful. Tired. Did a lot of moving this weekend.
Yeah, for the listeners, so you know, Mack has moved into a new apartment, and he's quite excited. And it's above one of his favorite burger places, which I think is awesome.
If you're ever in Nashville, Burger Republic, that's the place to be.
Cool. All right, well, hey, let's review our picks as always. We're going to start with the Week 13 hitters. Mack, how did we do last week?
You know, it was a pretty good week. We were a little up and down. I will say for the listeners, we were on Miles Straw, but we'll get there. So Steven Duggar was okay. He went 4 for 18. He had 3 singles. He walked quite a bit, and he scored 3 runs. He had a double. Not what you want, but I picked up Steven in a couple of Roto leagues, and I think he's going to be useful for Roto rest of the season. He's still been hitting really well. Just the hits didn't fall this week. But Ty France was my number 2 hitter. Ty France went 7 for 20, which is pretty solid. Had a home run, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs, scored once, only once with the 2 doubles and the 7 hits, but he only scored once, and that was off the homer. But it was a 3-run shot. He's continued his hot hitting. That he was on base over 400%, over 40% of the time. His on base percentage was over 400. So looking pretty good. I like Ty France. He's for about a month and a half now. He's been hitting really well. And I picked him up in a couple leagues and have just been riding him out. And then Miles Straw went 5 for 20. He walked 6 times. So on not the best average, but on base percentage looking pretty solid. He had a couple doubles.
That's where my teams are like, the more we do these, all of our leagues and everything, a lot of my batting average leagues are moving to OBP leagues. I don't know if that's happening with you too.
It makes way more sense.
It does.
Honestly, like it just encapsulates a guy's value a lot better.
Especially now with just the volatility of, either 3 outcome, and anytime you can get a walk, that's super valuable. So
yeah. I saw a guy arguing on Twitter today about how walks aren't valuable. He was arguing with a bunch of, I think a couple pitcherless guys. Carlos Mercado was talking to him about it. Yeah, he was like, Yasmani Grandal's like not like it's not useful because he's slow. So like if you're walking, he's only station to station type of guy. Like
you're right, he should just strike out.
Yeah, he should just be striking out.
That'd be better.
That would be way better. Yeah. And the guys were like trying to be like, pitchers pitch worse with guys on base. There's a whole walks are very, very useful thing.
I mean, anyone who's actually played baseball, when you go into the stretch, it changes everything.
Yeah, well, this dude was like, you've obviously never played competitively. Like, you've clearly never played competitively. You know that like a hit's better than a walk. Yeah. And I mean, whatever. Anyway, just shows the way.
Well, hey, keep with us, all the other listeners, and we're going to keep you, to the bright side of baseball. But real statistics are going to
real statistics, like OBP being useful. Because when Miles Straw walks 6 times, he steals 2 bases, and he scores 3 times. So, and you get a good OBP. Miles Straw's just kept doing what Miles Straw has been doing.
Yeah,
he had a couple RBIs.
Joey Votto's going to the Hall of Fame because of
absolutely.
OBP. So there you go.
Yeah.
And all right. Was your third? Was that your?
That was it, Miles. So Steven Duggar, okay. Ty France, pretty good. Miles Straw, also pretty good. Got your homer, a couple steals. Not a bad week.
Nope. And so I won't have to go through Miles Straw's week. The steals were there. That's the thing that we all need as much as we can in Roto, especially anyone who's lost the Raul Mondesi or whoever.
Speaking of, Akil Baddoo is still available in like 30% of leagues.
It's insane. None of the leagues I'm in because half the people are from Detroit, so it's,
of course. But I mean,
gone.
he stole a base. Yeah, I feel like he's stolen a base like literally every night this week. Yeah, every single game. Every day I check and I'm like, oh, Akil Baddoo stole another base. So I know he had like a bad little stretch there when he came up, but His OBP's been like 400 for like a month and a half now. So
he's been absolutely incredible, and he's still, playing 5-6 days a week, out of 7. So that's about all you can hope for. All right, awesome. So my week 13 hitters is CJ Cron, Miles Straw, as we already gone over, and then David Fletcher. And overall, it was meh across the board. I was hoping more for Cron, as far as, from a power standpoint. He was 3 for 14. He got you 1 home run, 2 runs, and 3 RBIs. So pretty lackluster there. And David Fletcher, 5 for 24, 4 runs, 1 RBI, and got you 1 stolen base, but not what I expected. I was hoping him to, get a couple home runs here and keep, the average was fine. It didn't sink you, but nothing really to sink your teeth in for me across all of the hitting. So, listeners, I will do better next week, and we'll get into that. But before we do, week 13 pitchers, how we do, how we do there.
It was a pretty good week. I will give a caveat. Johnny Cueto was my first guy, and he did not have a good start. Although, if you keep up with baseball news, if you're a crazy fantasy person like me, or like probably anyone listening to this show, you would know probably not to pitch guys when they're sick. And so there was an update that came out like right before his start that was like, Johnny Cueto's sick, and he's still going to start.
I picked him up 3 hours before they released that news.
Yep, I did the same thing, and I was in a league where I just needed to throw him anyway, so I did end up doing that.
Too. Yep.
But if you don't, if you get that news, if you get a news like pitcher's sick, like on average, most guys aren't going to have Michael Jordan flu games. They're just going to give up 5 earned runs and then lose the game, which is what happened with Johnny Cueto. So I still think that was a good matchup and a good stream, especially against the Diamondbacks, who've been just god-awful for all season.
Terrible.
But, when a guy is sick and pitching, you can't really do anything about it.
Nope.
But other 2 guys, John Gray and Logan Gilbert, were pretty good. John Gray has been pretty good for a little while now. A couple starts. He had a couple bad starts, a couple good starts. This is kind of the way John Gray rolls. You never really know.
Yep.
But he's had a couple good starts in a row now. He got the Pirates. He did what he was supposed to against the Pirates. 2 hits. He had 4 walks. 5 strikeouts. He gave up 2 earned runs, get you a 3 ERA, a 1 WHIP, a win, and a quality start. So, that's what you're supposed to do against the Pirates, and you can't really ask for anything more from Johnny Boy.
That's about it.
And then Logan Gilbert, we were talking about this off camera, and I was really encouraged by the start, even though it wasn't great. He went 5 2/3. He had 5. He allowed 5 hits and 2 walks, so that's 7 base runners. So it's a 1.10 WHIP. It's not the WHIP that you want, but it's not horrible. He had 6 strikeouts and a 3.18 ERA because he didn't go the full 6. So it's no decision. He didn't get the win. 1 out away from the quality start. But the thing that was encouraging about this
5.2 innings, the dreaded.
I know. It feels like guys are getting pulled there so much. I've got Male in so many leagues, Tyler Male, and it feels like he gets pulled like 5 1/3, 5 2/3, like every single start. But Gilbert didn't have like his good stuff. He didn't have a legitimate out pitch. His changeup has been sort of a good money pitch. His curve has been really good, and he wasn't really getting any swing and miss stuff. But the fact that he was able to escape with still a pretty solid outing is, I think, encouraging for Gilbert rest of season. I like him. I wouldn't start him against the Red Sox, but or maybe I would. I started Cole Irvin against the Red Sox last night, and that worked out.
And with Gilbert, and it's funny because when you look at mine, my picks for next week, you're going to see Gilbert and Gray in there. So I'm totally piggybacking off you without even remembering that I did that. But what stands out to me for Gilbert, and I'll get into it later, but just real quick, his base on ball percentage, 85th percentile. He's not walking people.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, and that's something I mentioned in the last week, that his K minus BB is 20.7%, or it was before this last start. He did have a couple walks, but still really solid, and that's a really good indicator of future results for pitchers usually.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, looking at my week 13 pitchers, we're going to start off with, and we were talking about this off air. Do not rush your picks. So truth be told, last week we had a couple overlaps. And so I was like, you know what, I'll just look into it and I'll pick someone I feel good about. I picked Matt Manning. I rushed into it like a bad relationship. And then, I quickly proposed. And as it always does, it went horribly. So against Cleveland, 3.2 innings pitched, 9 earned runs. Absolutely sunk me there. He had 2 Ks, whatever, 22.09 ERA. Today, Manning versus the White Sox, 2.2 innings pitched, 6.75 ERA with a 3.00 whip. So just brutal across the board. And I just want to apologize to everybody. But my guess is if you're smart as we are, going through this, probably Matt Manning you probably weren't going to start him anyway, just based on what he's done. I mean, his K percentage is so low and he's just not able to produce, what we need from him, like from a Tiger standpoint. But anyway, let's move on and hop in. And I hope you listen to me. And this guy is becoming quickly probably my top 5 favorite pitchers in the league to watch, Alek Manoah. So versus Seattle, he was just absolutely incredible. I don't know if you got to see any of it, Mac, but
I didn't see any of it, but I heard.
Go back, just quick, hop on YouTube, watch the highlights. 7 innings pitched, 10 Ks. At one point, he struck out 7 in a row.
Hot dang.
Okay, so that was a Blue Jays franchise record. So he has that record now. He was able to do that on 23 swinging strikes, and 11 of his whiffs were from the slider. So
yeah, he looked really. I've seen a couple gifs of his slider. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and he's huge. He's whirling in there, and he's just tons of fun to watch. He had a no-hitter going into the 6th, so he just pretty much dominated the whole thing. Finished with a 0.00 ERA, 0.57 WHIP. So just incredible stuff there from him. And then JT Brubaker versus Milwaukee. He gave up 5 runs on 6 hits in 6 innings. The long ball is what killed him. He gave up 3 solo home runs in the first 2 innings. From there, he settled down a little bit, but not. It's just. Yeah, I want him to do better. I think his stuff's good. Every time I watch him, I'm encouraged by what I see. But then, you can't give up the long ball in this environment. So,
nope.
7.50 ERA, 1.17 WHIP. If you only listen to Manoah, congratulations, you had a good week. Let's go into week 14. There's going to be 14 teams with 7 games and 16 teams with 6 games. So everyone's pretty much loaded up here. Again, it's going to be July 5th through July 11th. And Mac, start me off. Who are our pitchers coming up? Our hitters coming up.
All right, so I'm going to give you a Brewer combo meal, which I didn't think I'd ever be saying at the beginning of the year. But number one, we're gonna go back into the well. As we talked about before, they're just guys you just gotta keep using. And I don't know, Willy Adames is my number one guy. 43% rostered.
I don't know. You got to pick people. You have to pick them up.
Pick them up. Every league that I could pick him up in, I think I have picked him up in. But I play in too many leagues with guys who are like, I don't play in enough like home leagues where I can really take advantage of like people who don't follow baseball like crazy. I'm in like 7 leagues where guys are just like all they do is like research baseball. So Adames was gone in most of my leagues by the time I like wanted to get him. But if you're just playing in a home league and you're in one of these 67% of leagues that he's not rostered in,
I'm in a 10-team 6x6 roto league, and he's still unrostered. Even I haven't rostered him yet, but I'm about to pull the trigger on him all the time. But maybe I should just do it.
Maybe. I mean, he's got 7 games next week. He's got a 400 WOBA over his last 30 days. He just looks completely different. He's
he
hitting the ball hard.
He absolutely hated being part of the Tampa Bay organization.
It just seems like that had to be it. Because he hit a grand slam last week. He just hasn't stopped hitting. Just hasn't stopped. His swinging. I saw a chart of his hard hit percentile in WOBA versus his like K percentage, and it goes like this. Like literally just like opposite directions. So like, I don't know. Just pick him up. Yeah. And then number 2 is an interesting guy. And I was actually really surprised. I've not noticed how good he's been over the last little bit. Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers is 18% rostered, and I was looking through leaderboards over the last month or two, and he's actually 6th in hard hit percentile this month over his last 30 days. He's hitting the ball hard like 50% of the time. He has 4 home runs in June. He batted .308, and he's just been hitting for like the last month.
Yes.
I looked at his splits, and there's nothing significant between home and away. So it's not like he's only hitting in Colorado. He's actually hit more home runs away this season than he has home. He's got, I think, second base and shortstop eligibility. So yeah, I traded him away in a dynasty this offseason. Maybe I'm regretting it. I was thinking the Rockies. I mean, it was just the Rockies. He'd been hurt.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I don't have any faith in the Rockies to play him, but they've been giving him playing time, and he's been doing what he could with it, which is,
well, you come with that type of, prospect, pedigree, and everyone's expecting such big things. And then he comes up and he's just mediocre. And then you mix in the stupidity of the Rockies organization, or at least from a player development standpoint. I think the breakout's real. I think it's here. I think he's going to be.
Yeah, he's only 24, 25.
Yep.
So, I mean, I like him. I like him a lot for the next week. He's got 6 games this week, and he could be good rest of the season. And then finally, Avisal Garcia. And we've talked about Garcia a little bit, and he, like Willy Adames, I don't know if it's just that they're on the Brewers. Like, I don't really know what's going, but the Brewers have been good. Like, the Brewers have been good for a while. They have the second most wins in the MLB, I think.
Yeah.
And he's 42% rostered. He's got 7 games next week, just like Adames, the same games. He's hitting .248 so far this year, which isn't great, but still above league average. He's got 15 home runs, 4 stolen bases, but he's actually been unlucky. His X stats say his X batting average is .275. His xWOBA should be higher. His X slugging is should be 50% higher. Of course, those are descriptive, not predictive stats. Mm-hmm. So you can't say like he's going to be better. But those are the sort of things you look for when you're looking for a guy who's breaking out. And Garcia looks like the type of guy who you want to be picking up. He could be. I mean, maybe he's a drop a couple weeks from now, but maybe he's a league winner if he keeps hitting. If those hits start to materialize, because I mean, if the X stats are right, a guy 275 with 20 home runs is, I mean, you're looking at a top 10 outfielder in the National League.
And he has that combo, and he came up with the Tigers. So, I got to spend a lot of time watching him play, and, he was the mini Miggy guy and all these different types of things. Yep. And I've been waiting for this breakout for a long time. And I think we've seen like little glimpses of it here and there, but for the most part, he's been pretty much meh, and he gets often hurt. But, I think this is the year. I mean, they're batting him 4th or 5th every single day.
Yeah.
It's a good lineup. It's a great ballpark. He has the power speed combo. And he's just fun to watch in general. And
he's been pulling the ball in the air, which is the Jose Ramirez sort of blueprint. Just like, I mean, but it's good for, it's generally good for power hitters if you're pulling the ball in the air. And that's what he started doing. Part of his problem, if I remember correctly, was he always had a lot of pop, but he didn't have a very consistent launch angle. But it looks like he's really figured out his strengths so far this year. Yep. So that's my 3 guys: Willy Adames, Brendan Rodgers, and Avisal Garcia. All 3 of them are flying under the radar. All 3 of them had some hype coming up, and all 3 of them seem to be breaking out. So,
I'm actually really excited to see those 3, not only because I have Garcia in TGFBI, which my team has fell off, plummeted due to ERA problems. My ERA has just, every time I turn around, there's a huge blow up. But it's not about me here. So awesome. Here's my week 14 hitters. We're going to start off with Andrew Vaughn, and then Kiki Hernandez and Hunter Dozier. So quietly, and I don't know how quiet it is, but Andrew Vaughn has completely turned around his season, and he's legit. And for the last 15 games, he's batting .311 with a .340 OBP, slugging .578. Pretty good. 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. He has 3 walks in there, and in this lineup, I just love everything I'm seeing from him.
Yeah. So, speaking of Vaughn, just a quick shout out to Jake Berger too. Jake Berger is Last I checked, he had 2 hits today. He went 2 for 4 in his debut.
I was there for his debut.
He had an 0 for 4 in between. Yeah, you saw Lance Lynn pitch,
yep,
huh?
I was there. Yep.
He went 112 pitches. Did you see that quote from him?
No.
After, oh man, I retweeted it, and a reporter asked him like, "So Lance, like, how do you know you can go 112 pitches consistently?" And he was like, "Because I'm a big bastard. That's why."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
I believe
man,
that.
yeah. He's the best.
Yeah, he's cool, man. Yeah, but I think he issued 5 or 6 walks to the Tigers. I'm watching this like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, Jay Berger, I mean, he was 2 for 4 his first game out. Last game he was 2 for 3. Or right now he's actually 2 for 3 against the Tigers.
Yeah, he put an 0 for 4 in between, but
Yep.
oh well.
He's a kid. Awesome. So yeah, Andrew Vaughn, 3 at Minnesota, 3 at Baltimore. I'm feeling really good about that matchup. He's only, let me see here. I think he's only like 20-something% rostered. So he's open. He's pretty much in every league. Kiki, he's 36% rostered. Kiki Hernandez, 24% rostered. He's my next guy. And he's somebody that I was big on from just like accounting stats point of view, just because of where he's going to be hitting in that lineup. And the lineup's been absolutely incredible all year. But like now for the last 15 games, he's legitimately turned around his season. So Kiki has last 15 games, he has 5 home runs, 10 runs, 12 RBIs. He's walked 10 times. So he's got an OBP of 418 over these games. He's just been, I'm not going to say everything we expected him to be because I don't think he's that good. But right now he's super hot. He's in one of the best offenses in baseball. And he's got 3 against the Angels and then 3 versus Philly. So nothing too much that stands out there.
Yeah, no, the Angels pitching staff is literal shambles.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guy Canning got optioned to AAA. But
really, Griffin?
Yeah, and I think Dylan Bundy's moving to the bullpen for a time. So like, I don't even know I couldn't even name their starters right now. I've got no clue.
No, and that's all their own doing,
Yeah,
it has so
much.
long to do. You and I have already talked. I just don't get me started with Angels pitching. It happens every year.
Yeah,
when you see the lineup, you're like, oh, this team is so cool. And then
no, their aces are Ohtani and Alex Cobb. So
shout out to Alex Cobb though, he's been pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kiki Hernandez again, 24% rosters. He's going against the Angels and the Phillies, so I'm feeling good there. And then lastly, and I'm talking about going back to the well. Talking about haven't learned anything. You already know it's coming, Mr. Hunter Dozier. I'm back, baby. We're back. I believe in him. Over the last 7 games, he's batting .292. He's got 3 RBIs. He's walking a little bit. He's struck out 8 times, so that's still going to be a huge problem. But I have a feeling this is going to be his week. Sometimes you just gotta just
go by gut.
Yeah, just go in there, And I put now. This is the time it works. So
no thoughts, just Hunter Dozier.
Exactly. So 3 versus Cincinnati, 4 against the Indians. So I really like the back half of that. I think it's going to be a really good weekend for him. So my 3 hitters for week 14, Andrew Vaughn, Kike Hernandez, and Hunter Dozier. All right. Week 14 pitchers. Or did we? Yep. Mac, what do you got?
I got so one of my guys gonna since you piggybacked off me, I'll piggyback right off you. So I'm gonna go Alek Manoah. Do it again. He's still only 63% roster after the 10 Ks. So he gets Baltimore this week in the middle of the week. I mean, if you see a guy do what he did, 7 innings and 10 Ks, you gotta stream him against Baltimore. I don't care if Cedric Mullins is at the top of the lineup and the Orioles are hitting well right now. Pick him up.
He's a big bastard too.
Yeah, he is. Just like Lance Lynn. So Alek Manoah, we've said enough about him. He's good. He's my number 1 guy going into this week. But second is Alex Wood. Alex Wood is 65% rostered. He gets the Cardinals in the middle of the week, who have been quietly really, really bad offensively for a little while now. They started out good, and everyone thought like Goldschmidt, Arenado would be good, and they're not bad. Arenado's been pretty good.
What did you say for Arenado? 75% of what he was in Colorado? Is that what you
at his prime. But I mean, he's what, 30, 31? So I mean, you were already expecting him to start the descent, maybe not so quickly, but he's still super valuable. Top 5 third baseman, I'd say.
Yeah.
But never gonna be 40, 45 home runs, 120 RBIs again. I think the best you can hope for is 30.
He's like a top 100, top 80 player right now.
Yeah. I'd put him in my top 50, but that may be right there at 50.
Yeah.
And maybe moving down. But other than that, the Cardinals don't have a ton to write home about. They just sort of juggled their roster construction around. They can't figure out if Dylan Carlson or Harrison Bader or Tommy Edman's going to bat first. They don't have a lot of guys sticking anywhere. And Wood has been good over his last couple starts. He's got his slider back, which is a big pitch for Wood. If he doesn't have a slider, then he's not very good. Okay. I'm really not trying to sound like Dr. Seuss here. But his last 2 outings, he's got 8 Ks in both of them over 5 innings of work. I think the outing before his last outing, he went 5 2/3. But 8 Ks, you like to see that. He's been striking out more guys. He got the win last time out. And anytime the Giants are playing, you've got a good chance of getting a W out of him. So I like that. And then finally, Dane Dunning. Dane Dunning is only 11% rostered, but he gets the Tigers. And the most important thing about this is if you look at Mr. Dunning's surface stats, they aren't great. And I would agree they're not great. But this is because if you go into his splits, he alternates good starts by home and road. Look at what he does. It's literally crazy. His every single start on the road is awful. And every single start at home is pretty good. And he's getting
it right now. Outside, he actually had a decent outing his last on the 1st of July at Oakland. He went only 4 innings, but he didn't give up any runs. But
it was 4 scoreless innings, but he was a little wild. Then he got his pitch count up there, and they pulled him because literally every time
it was about to be a meltdown.
Yes, every other road start has been a
brutal.
Meltdown.
You're right. Wow, good looking out on that.
But at home, everything else has been good, and so he's getting the Tigers at home.
Daily fantasy, keep an eye out on that. Little DFS,
little DFS action. So I think he flies under the radar, but he had one start where he had 10 Ks recently. He's got a lot of whiff stuff, so he's got K upside.
Yep.
And the Tigers have K upside to stream against. So.
Yep.
So Alex Wood, Alek Manoah, and Dane Dunning, a couple of young guns and the old vet.
Young guns, the old vet, and this is just going to be the piggyback show, pretty much from from your week 13 pitchers. So I'm not going to dive too far into them because they pretty much speak for themselves. Number 1, John Gray. So at Arizona versus San Diego. San Diego's not that good or it's actually a pretty good pitchers matchup. Despite how good they actually are and how loaded that lineup on paper is, they're not. I'm not as scared as you would think. So Gray's 26% rostered. Now, over his last 15 games, he's actually been pretty good. ERA is 3.89. He has 5 wins, and anytime you can get a win as a Rocky, it's pretty unbelievable. Over those 74 innings pitched, let's see, where's this K's at? For some reason, 65 strikeouts with a 1.24 whip. So it's actually been pretty serviceable. He has both. I really like the Arizona start. They're bottom 5 in every offensive category. Yep. And at San Diego, I think he's going to do just fine. So once that all balances out, I think it's going to be a really good week for John Gray. Number 2 is Logan Gilbert. And I've been on the Logan Gilbert roller coaster for a while here, and I think it's finally starting to level out a little bit. Piggyback on that, like you said, everything that you went into. His last 7 games, 3.09 ERA. 35 innings pitched. He's got 38 Ks. He has a 1.00 whip. So he's not really walking too many guys. Only 8 people, as we went into before. He's only walked 8 people in those 35 innings pitched. So I really like that stream. The Yankees, what a frustrating team to watch. I don't know if I have a lot of
horrible.
Yankees. It's just I feel good about this. Throw Gilbert up against the Yankees. It's going to go well. He's only 40% rostered. There's no inning limit in sight. No one's talked about anything, so just keep firing them up. And number 3, this is like what I feel like the NHL is king at this, where 5-10 years go by and you just randomly turn on a game and you see the same players. And you're like, wow, I can't believe that guy still plays. That's cool. Joe Ross is that guy for me. So Joe Ross, only 36% rostered. He's actually been pretty good all year. Under the radar here. He just went 6.2 innings against the Dodgers. He had 11 Ks.
Yeah. Yeah, and his fastball was averaging 95, 96. He touched 97, 98 a couple times, which is not the Joe Ross we've seen for the last couple of years.
Yep.
Maybe he's doing the Charlie Morton.
Ooh.
Did you ever read that article, I think by Devin Fink, about how Charlie Morton's success is just because he started throwing harder?
No.
Yeah, you can trace Charlie Morton becoming an ace just to him just deciding one day he was going to rear back and start throwing a little harder on his fastball. His fastball jumped like 2 miles per hour, 3 miles per hour when he like early 30s. Yeah. And all of a sudden he was an ace with the Rays.
Huh. Yeah, and I haven't really been too far up on him, but I mean, it's just he's like one of those players you feel like you're getting burned too much and they'll never be good in your eyes, but it's not true. Sometimes pitchers get better. They learn things. You know, the analytics are important. You know, they actually listen to their pitching coaches. It's actually that's what they get paid the big bucks to do. And I think, you know, Joe Ross, he's only 28, but I feel like, you know, he's just been so inconsistent over the time. But what I've seen from him here, I'm actually pretty excited. He only gave up 2 runs. You know, he was in the top of the 7th against one of the best hitting teams in baseball. And next week, it's a tough matchup. He's going against San Francisco. So it's kind of a roll of the dice here. But from everything that I've seen, I think Ross is ready for that next step. And I'm excited to see it. So John Gray, Logan Gilbert, and Joe Ross for my 3 pitchers here for Week 14. And that will do it here. Matt, before we go, plug yourself, talk about your life and everything that's important to you. I'm just kidding. Where can the listeners find you on Twitter?
They can find me on Twitter at @JChristianMack. I finally put that in my little thingy here on the stream. I caught on like 13 weeks in. But
everyone can learn. No matter how old you are, you can get better.
No matter how old you are, you can just get better.
Full circle.
And I'm getting better. Or maybe I'm not. I don't know. We'll see how these we're talking about. Thanks, man. We're gonna try to put our numbers together over the All-Star break. So we'll see if we are getting better. Because last time we checked, we were doing okay, but that was like a good 6 weeks ago. So we'll see what these. But
the landscape of baseball has literally changed.
Completely changed.
No one could score. The pitchers were amazing, and now it's flipped on its head. And
who knows? It's a lot of fun though. So you can find me there, tweeting about Braves, retweeting Lance Lynn quotes,
which I gotta go check out the second we get off this. But awesome, and
all right.
And Marty, that's me, your host. You can always find me, Marty_Tallman, working on Triple Play fantasy stuff, doing a little bit of Motor City Bengals with the Detroit Tigers, and always doing the show here with Mac. And excited to see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. And catch you next time. Bye-bye.